The ASEAN Regional Forum in Laos seeks stability amid regional strife, as does the Quad ministerial meeting over in Tokyo today. On Issues and Insiders today, we address the latest diplomatic efforts to tackle security concerns. Hope your work week is off to a good start. You're watching Issues and Insiders for this Monday, July 29th here in South Korea. I'm Min Sunhee. Today I have our panel of foreign journalists and their take on ongoing regional efforts to ease a host of risk factors and their broader ripple effects. For this, I have Celio Fioretti, a correspondent for French daily La Croix. Celio, welcome back.
Hello.
I also have Chloe Borgnon, a correspondent for French news network France 24. Chloe, it's been a while. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
Celio, let's begin with your takeaway from the ASEAN Regional Forum in Laos last week, where Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yul reiterated, of course, the security risks posed by North Korea.
Indeed, the ASEAN Regional Forum was held on the 27th. To put a little context on what it is exactly, the event was the 31st edition of it to the Southeast Asian Nation Association Regional Forum, this time in Vientiane, Laos. 27 countries were invited, 10 members of the ASEAN, but also 17 members, partner countries, as we can say, including the Republic of Korea. The foreign ministers of each country met. For Korea, it was Cho Tae-yul, the foreign minister. He wanted to raise the attention on North Korea. On a side note, a little story, the North Korean regime was represented not by their foreign minister, but by the local ambassador in Laos. For the anecdote, Cho Tae-yul wanted to shake the hand respectfully of the North Korean ambassador, but he refused. So you can really see the tension ongoing between the two countries. Remember, in June, Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un signed an alliance with the Mutual Defense Agreement, which is a game changer in regional security. Quickly, Seoul and Washington developed a response to it with the nuclear guideline for any aggression of North Korea, which would include a nuclear strike if needed. So what did Cho Tae-yul wanted to discuss about in this meeting? Well, mostly gathering support from the Southeast Asian countries to maybe counter the Russian influence in the region and bring more stability and security to the Indo-Pacific. These countries are kind of on the edge, not clearly picking side. Back in the Cold War, we could have called them the non-aligned countries. The Japanese and Korean foreign minister really emphasized on the need to have a cooperation to ensure regional stability, but the response was quite lukewarm, we can say. Lavrov, Russian foreign minister, really insisted that the US is the main aggressor, we could say, in that region, the main factor of instability. And the other countries, such like Vietnam, for example, they're doing business with Russia. In June, just after the Vladimir Putin visit to the DPRK, he went to Vietnam to talk with the people there. So it's hard for them to really strongly oppose Russian influence in the region. So I think Cho Tae-yul did its best. It's hard to make line moves, but still they managed to get insisted on effort to denuclearize the Korean peninsula.
Right. Staying with what Celio has said, Chloe, so Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yul, while he was not able to shake hands with North Korea's Lee Young-chul, he was able to shake hands with his Japanese and Chinese counterparts. What were your takeaways from talks among the East Asian foreign ministers?
Yeah, so as you said, on Friday he was able to have a discussion on the side of the forum, so bilateral discussions. First of all with China, so with Foreign Minister Wang Yi. It was a 40-minute talk between the two of them, like between the two foreign ministers. They discuss, according to South Korean statement, they discuss on the exchange going on between the two countries and the wish to maintain close communication for peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. Minister Cho Tae-yul also expressed his concern over growing ties between Russia and China. We've seen that recently, for example, with common aerial exercise close to Alaska that's been putting the US on edge. So Russia and China were working together. They're having more and more ties together. He also asked China to be an actor of peace in the region. and not of putting more instability. So Minister Wang on his side said that China and South Korea should, and I'm going to cite him here, avoid interference from external factors. So we can clearly see, as Celio was saying, the part here is probably speaking about the United States and the fact that under the government of President Yoon, the ties with the US are getting stronger for South Korea. And so that's what Minister Wang called for, was extension of common interest and of mutual trust. With Japan now, he also met with Foreign Minister Yokoka미카와 for 45-minute talks on the side of the forum. They say that they wanted cooperation to maintain free and open Indo-Pacific region. So there they were mostly targeting Russia and China. Just as Celio said, on the bilateral talk, they also said again that Japan and Korea want close cooperation on issues related to North Korea. They are both really working with the US to try and secure a bit more stability in the region. And they also spoke about, a bit more on the side, but the Sado mine in Japan that is supposed to get listed in the UNESCO Heritage List. And so they discussed that because it's in link with the South Korean history as well. And it's nice to note that they were speaking as well because next year will be the 60th anniversary of normalization of diplomatic relationship between the two countries. And they were both saying that they want to work for a closer diplomatic relationship between the two countries.
Right. Meanwhile, Celio, across the border, I believe North Korea played host to a Belarusian delegation last week. Could you tell us a bit more about this particular event and its implications?
Yes, and that's exactly why the North Korean Foreign Minister Choi So-hee could not come to the ASEAN summit. She was busy meeting with the Belarus delegation. As North Korea and Russia developed their alliance, Belarus, the foreign minister, Maxim Rezhenkov, made a trip to Pyongyang to discuss maybe a possible trilateral anti-Western alliance involving Russia. He was Belarus' first foreign minister to travel to North Korea. Belarus and Russia are close allies, and Alexander Lukashenko, the leader of the Belarus Republic, Belarus president showed his full support of Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, and even accepted Russia's strategic weapon to be located inside Belarus. So you can see it's really a close relationship between the two. And during a meeting with Putin in the Black Sea resort of Sochi in last September, Lukashenko suggested that maybe they could form a tripartite sort of pact or group between North Korea, Russia, and Belarus. North Korea and Belarus have had diplomatic relations since the late 90s. North Korea opened an embassy in Minsk in 2016, but Belarus did not open one in Pyongyang yet. About the talks directly during this 4-day visit to North Korea, not that much information have been disclosed by North Korean or Belarusian media, but here is what we know. Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee said she had an in-depth exchange of view on international and regional affairs with Belarusian Foreign Minister. At this occasion, Alexander Lukashenko, Belarus president, promised to expand cooperation with Pyongyang in a letter addressed to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. He said he will work to further expand cooperation with the DPRK. So what is this new content exactly? Well, it could be well on the economy side, actually not much on the defense. North Korea External Economic Relations Minister also held talks with the Belarus Foreign Minister, and they focused on exploring ways to develop trade between the two countries in areas not limited by the UN section, such as food, for example, or also education, healthcare, cosmetic products. So the Belarusian media reported that they wanted to provide Belarusian-made food and cosmetic to North Korea. This would also help the regime to make more money and stability in this time of crisis.
Right. And Chloe, in neighboring Japan, foreign ministers of the Quad nations addressing regional security concerns. What more can you tell us about their agenda?
Yeah, so the Quad countries are Australia, India, Japan, and the United States. So they're meeting today and in Tokyo, and there will also be another Quad Leaders Summit in India later this year. So in the agenda, what we can notice is a few elements. So first thing that will be kind of one of the strong points of the agenda is they want to collaborate to create a resilient supply chain on Earth's rare minerals, so critical minerals. So this kind of minerals are used, for example, lithium used in electrical batteries or other minerals that are used in semiconductors. And it's really important so most of the countries today are trying to secure their own way to get some of these minerals, because the demand is going to get stronger and stronger with the development of technologies, the development of green energy. So they all have to try and secure it in one way or another. The goal is mostly to reduce the dependency on China, because China is the world leader when it comes to supplying this kind of rare material. So for example, in December 2023, the US said that China is the leader on 30 out of 50 minerals that are critical for the US. So if the four countries work together, they will be able to either supply some of this material for one another. For example, the US really wants aluminium, and India is producing aluminium. And then the other thing is they can work together to kind of secure contracts with other countries that will produce this kind of mineral for them. For example, South Korea could be one of the prospects, because South Korea is producing gallium, which is something that the four other countries would want. Another thing is they also are going to express opposition to the militarization of the South China Sea. So that's going directly against China, especially recently with Philippines vessels in the South China Sea. So it's really something that's they want to address and should be addressed also through, they want to develop a framework more about the law and maritime law to try to get a stronger frame regarding this area and what can be done or can't be done in the area. And finally, they are supposed to speak about cybersecurity as well. So they want to be able to counter cyber attacks working together, and they also want to develop safe and secure framework for artificial intelligence. Again, that's something that's a problematic that we're seeing developed worldwide, and the four together are trying to work towards, achieving something more legally on the legal side together on this point.
Right. And staying in Japan, but this past Sunday, Celio, defense ministers from South Korea, the US and Japan met for talks, and they appear to have set in stone a trilateral security cooperation framework. Could you tell us a bit about that and its significance?
Yes, South Korea, the United States and Japan have signed their first formal agreement really sealing their trilateral security cooperation. It's aimed at strengthening the cooperation and regional response to security threats. The Trilateral Security Cooperation Framework, TSCF, is the first document jointly signed by the three countries to really seal this cooperation. Such a high-level policy consultation, information sharing, and trilateral drills with the goal of providing common policy guidelines for the region to ensure peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula, but also on the Indo-Pacific region. While the TSCF is not legally binding, South Korea Defense Minister Shin Won-sik explained that its purpose is to establish a basis for future practical development. The three defense chiefs vowed to enhance cooperation for more effective operation of their real-time sharing information on North Korean activity and missile threats. And they will also regularly conduct joint drills, including in the multi-domain Freedom Edge that happened last month. The ministers also voiced concern about the increasing military and economic collaboration between Pyongyang and Moscow. They condemned North Korea's expansion of nuclear delivery system, its multiple ballistic missile threat, and other action that heighten the tension on the Korean Peninsula. In a separate meeting with Japan Defense Minister earlier in that day, Minister Shin also agreed to enhance bilateral defense agreements and exchange cooperation, including the resumption of mutual visits between the Army, Navy, and Air Force between Korea and Japan. And also the three ministers of US, Japan, and South Korea will meet in Seoul this time next year in 2025, for the next trilateral ministerial meeting.
Right. And prior to his talks with his counterparts from the US and Japan, Seoul's Defense Minister Shin Won-sik spoke to a Japanese daily and shared concerns about a possible North Korean attack at the border. Could you give us some background information?
Yeah, sure. So it was last week he did an interview with the Yomiuri Shimbun. And in there, the minister, Shin Won-sik, said North Korea may order to its troops to shoot down balloons from South Korea or shell locations from which those balloons are being sent. So what he's speaking about here is the launch of balloons sent by activists. Most of the time it's North Korean refugees who came to South Korea. And they're sending balloons with a lot of leaflets in there that are anti the regime of Kim Jong-un and are really strongly opposing the regime. And it's something that North Korea has been opposing for quite some time. They have been asking to South Korea to stop those activists from sending those elements because, according to Minister Shin Won-sik, it's mostly because the regime of Pyongyang is nervous about any external information that could come into North Korea and that could kind of destabilize the regime. So the thing is, South Korea will not stop for the moment the activists because the Constitutional Court deemed that it was unconstitutional to impeach that and say that it was a freedom of expression to be able to send those balloons. Things could change, but for now, the legal situation is like this. So until now, North Korean response to these balloons that they really don't like is sending back thousands of trash balloons. I mean, it's been a few weeks now, even months, and we've received a lot of alerts on the phone weekly asking to be careful with the balloons. It's like more than 2,000 balloons already who have arrived in South Korea, and especially recently some even ended on the premises of the President Yoon Suk-yeol office. So that's kind of, strong alert for South Korea on this point. In response to that, South Korea, for the moment, has resumed a propaganda broadcast at the frontier, sending information, K-pop, broadcasting K-pop as well. So it's kind of a tit for tat for the moment, but it could degenerate, and that's what Minister Shin Won-sik is warning about. It could degenerate because into an armed conflict, because the sister of Kim Jong-un, Kim Yo-jong, she said she warned Seoul a few times ago. She said that Seoul would be paying a terrible price if it refused to intervene and on this anti-Pyongyang leaflets. So that's why now South Korea is getting a bit more concerned about North Korean response.
Right. Celio, also last week, US authorities, they announced a reward of up to $10 million for information on a North Korean hacker. Could you tell us a bit more about this?
Yes, the US Justice Department on Thursday announced the indictment of a North Korean government-backed hacker for allegedly participating in a scheme to break into US hospital computer system and extort the information for money. Lim Jong-hyuk, that's his name, is part of a group of hackers working for the North Korean regime that use ransom collected from healthcare providers to fund the regime in its military program. The hacks of healthcare provider locked up medical records and disrupted healthcare service throughout the US in multiple states. The North Korean victims were in many different states, but the one that is happened in Kansas was the one that brought up the alarm for the US Security Service, hence why the North Korean hacker was sentenced, trialed, of course, without being present in a Kansas City court. The State Department has offered $10 million for any information on Lim. The US, South Korean and British government security agencies also on Thursday released information on the North Korean tactics, and they hope with that offered this reward to get more information on the means they use and how the network can be more beefed up defense against that kind of threat. Also, the hackers were targeting classified information in other sensitive areas, such as nuclear, aerospace, and other sectors to advance Pyongyang military program. One hack in 2022 carried out by the North Korean regime against a US defense contractor led to the theft of reams of sensitive data, including material used in US military aircraft, according to the State Department. So much of the stolen information was to 2010 earlier, so it was not that critical, but still quite an important leak. North Korean hackers have stolen billions of dollars in cryptocurrency in the last several years. In 2023 only, they managed to steal $600 million in cryptocurrency to fund against the North Korean military program.
Right, and against this backdrop, North Korea, Chloe, rejected former US President Donald Trump's claims of friendship, right? Tell us a bit briefly about that.
Yeah, so last Tuesday, there was an unsigned column in the KCNA, so the states-owned agency, that say that they do not care about Donald Trump's recent remark about getting along well with Kim Jong-un. So what happened in the context is, in recent acceptance speech as the Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump posted about the friendship that he has with Kim Jong-un. He said he got very well along with him, and he added that he's saying that Kim Jong-un would like to see him back, and I'm going to cite him there, like, I think he misses me. The thing is, you can see North Korea just kind of said no, and it's the first official responses to Trump boasting about this friendship, because he has been doing that quite a lot in the recent start of his presidential campaign, because the US are going to elect their new president in November. What we can see is that North Korea really said that for them, it did not bring any substantial positive change. He met 3 times with Kim Jong-un face-to-face, but according to North Korea, it's not enough to have this friendship as an important point.
Right, and hence they rejected those claims of friendship by former President Donald Trump. All right, Chloe, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this edition. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. And Celio, thank you very much for your insights. Right, well, that ends Monday's edition of Issues and Insiders. Thank you for watching. See you same time tomorrow.